Hello ladies and gentlemen, Insane Frame here. If you ask me what game caught my attention this year, I would have to go with Cyberpunk, so I kept an eye on it and made my decision when Steam had a sale on. I said enough is enough, it's time I give Cyberpunk its due. With the 2.1 update out, it's the perfect time to jump on in, so dust off your cyberware as it's time to head into Cyberpunk 2077 and ask the question, can you beat Cyberpunk with your bare fist? I'd like to say I've had a test run in this game in 2.0, but I've redone the run for the 2.1 update, and the differences in the game, whilst aren't huge, are quite substantial, with the Atom Smasher fight being reworked. So I decided to redo the whole run so we can get the full experience. Now onto the run itself. It is very simple. We use our fists to deal damage. This does include stealth takedowns as we're using our hands to do so stealth takedowns are allowed. However, what's not allowed is the gorilla arms or any arm mods. This would make the run far too easy. Also, there are driving segments, so we are forced to use a gun in these cases. I will make a rare exception to the rules, but only in these scenarios, otherwise we can't progress in the game. So with all that said and done, we go ahead and select our difficulty. We're playing on very hard, ladies and gentlemen, since this is a challenge video after all, and we create our character. He looks like a wonderful chap, Sir V. But the important thing here is we don't use any stat points. This will become clear later. We select the corporation start since it lets us hit the ground running, and we love money, so the corporation start it is. We start on up, reporting to our boss, who quite frankly is a dick. But then we get away on the Arasaka shuttle looking over Night City, and we go meet Jackie, who is an absolute amazing human being, the bestest ever. We then meet some agents and lose everything, which is so typical in Night City. Oh, the absolute audacity of it. However, it's time for our first mission and we're given a gun. But since this is a hand-to-hand run, we opt for stealth instead, as it's still ending people with our hands, so it doesn't break the rules. We see the trauma team do their thing with the client we rescued, so the first mission is completed. We get our first driving segment, and as I said, this is an exception to the rules, so it's done and dusted as quickly as possible, or until we shoot out the driver. But details, ladies and gentlemen. We also get Team Max Tac doing their thing, so we'll want to avoid them, especially in this run, since hand-to-hand versus a full outfitted unit, just no thank you. After going to our apartment and sparring a robot, it's time we set off into the world. We start fighting these fellows, so it's time to do police assault. So I decided to level our character. All our points go into body, the points we saved at the start of the game, and we go ahead and get the blunt weapon perk, since this counts as blunt weapons, ladies and gentlemen. And in this game, we need all the perks we can get, so with our perks set, it's time to do some police assaults. They're very tricky, especially early levels, since we take so much damage, and we don't really have a way around that until a little bit later. But they are fun and get us some resources, but we have to use stealth for the most part to get by. After we hit level 3, we can now barge into people, admittedly very rudely, with a perk called Wrecking Ball and deal damage, an absolute staple for us as we're going to need it, and you can see how it plays out here. You did hit me, yes, but it's not enough. All I have to do is run. Oh, you got a grenade, yeah, that would be enough. Not even gonna pretend like that's not enough, that is more than enough. Can we get one guy? I have to run. Run. This is what it's like, just run in. Wait in, pick them off one by one, and then just... This is not good. Not a good position to be in. There we go. One down. This does take forever, but hey, if it gets us level ups, I'm not complaining. And that is why we like that perk. Wrecking Ball, so we can just have the first strike. There we go. After a couple of police assaults, it's apparent some of them are too difficult. I wander the streets to just deal with low-end street thugs to let us get some experience and materials, and we even get a couple of cyberware shards. These will be very important for us throughout this challenge. Doing these assaults is mainly find the lone guy, take them out, which isn't too difficult as strong attacks can chain stun, which is lovely, but since we take a lot of damage, it's easy to lose to 2 enemies or more, so we have to let the healing items do the heavy lifting. As for all the loot we get, I'm just dismantling it for engineering experience, so we have decent crafting materials for later since we'll need them. I keep taking out assault and dealing with hostile street thugs until I hit level 5, since we have a couple of perks that can help us out, mainly the reduced armor perk next to Wrecking Ball so we can deal more damage. But we progress with the main story and speak to Dexter DeShawn. He wants us to get a drone and tells us to find Evelyn Parker. So we head to Lizzie's bar and see Judy and Evelyn, even though the game is trying to keep them a mystery for about 30 more seconds. But we go to the basement and start my least favourite part of the game, the brain dance sequences. We see Yorinobu in his suite in the hotel and decipher where the safe is going to be. After our little meeting with the brain dance, we level up to level 7 and unlock the next set of perks in the body tree. We're beelining for the legend perk, so it's back to doing the main story. We get to Maelstrom and let Dum Dum know we're here, and then we meet everyone in the main room. Now we could pay, but these guys have forgotten their manners and they haven't been polite or even honoured an agreement. We decide to just ignore them, and as I explore, Dum Dum loses temper and we fight these guys. It's really not bad because we are in close quarters and our fists do the talking, so it's all good as they get chain stun from our strong attacks in hand to hand. Strong attacks are the only way to go as it does the most damage and stuns the opponent. When the main room is cleared, we fight our way through easy enough. Jackie is actually helping here as his pistols deal some damage, but we deal enough damage to smash our way through. At times like this it is awkward, but our health items do the heavy lifting, ladies and gentlemen. And then we get to the boss, Royce. Now Royce took quite a different turn as we couldn't really damage him in melee since he just stun locks us, giving us a taste of our own medicine. Believe me, I did try, but then I realised Jackie has ranged weapons, so we just run around like Sonic the Hedgehog dodging Royce's projectiles, and Jackie does the heavy lifting, pretty much doing 90% of the damage this fight. However, the fight lasts quite a while, but when he is down to single digits, we can take the victory by pummeling Royce, and good riddance too, since we get an extra perk point. But all in all, the cyber shards we got from here definitely made this worth it. Also, Dexter DeShawn calls and we level up yet again to our most important level, level 10. We grab a few perks out of the technical tree so our health items come off cooldown faster since they are our lifeline, and it's time to get some cyberware. At Victor's we get a blood pump, a powerful healing item, as well as a biomonitor. These two items make it so we can automatically heal at 35% health, and the blood pump is very good, but we can get easily the most powerful thing this run, and that's the Berserk mod, ladies and gentlemen. Whilst active, we can't die. We are immortal. Our health stays at 25% whilst active, and we can replenish our health by a further 25% per kill. That is what our build is going to be centered around, hence level 10 being an important level. So with that done, it's to the afterlife to continue the main story, and Jackie lets the bartender know about his recipe for a drink.
Ginger beer? Oh, and most importantly, a splash of love.
And Dexter DeShawn is waiting for us in a soundproof booth. We go with the plan, and next thing we know, we're in a luxury car on our way to the hotel with Delamain. And for some reason, the game thinks we have a pistol, so sure thing game, details, I guess. Anyway, we check in, naturally we go to the bar, offload our stuff like the entrepreneur we are, and we go to our room and do the Militech drone sequence. And once we're finished and the drone nabs the Netrunner, we level up. We grab the final perk in the blunt weapon tree, ladies and gentlemen, Savage Sling. This perk allows us to throw enemies like King Kong or Donkey Kong, take your preference. It's a lot of fun, so with everything set, the build is now online. We then wait. We see the twist in the game along with Adam Smash Smasher, and I must confess, every time I hear Adam Smasher, I can't help but think of my sibling, who's also called Adam, but he's a lot nicer and miles more amazing than Smasher. So everything's set in motion and the hotel room on lockdown, I do what every gamer worth their salt does and start looting. And there is a knife on the Emperor, so we'll use that at some point in a challenge, and there is the Emperor's sword on the roof, a nice pair of items. But one thing leads to another, and we're sliding down the side of the hotel with Jackie. Once we land, the chip goes in Jackie's skull, but since we're alive, it's time to start being King Kong and throwing enemies into each other. Right, and here, ladies and gentlemen, this is why Berserk's good. They can hit us, they can try and hurt us, but then we can King Kong. Both of them are out. What can they do? Nothing. You attacked me. You're assault troopers. Yeah. There you go. I'll just form a finisher. Hello, sir. You have a shotgun. I really don't like that. King Kong! Right, we're gonna Donkey Kong barrel roll this thing. Look at you! Now you're down. Amazing, isn't it? You can. I think you guys can see why I wanted that move so bad now. Now I can just go, no, you can't hurt me now. Well, you can, just my health won't drop below a certain amount. After the lobby, I decide rather than getting straight into the car and drive off with Delamain, I decide to stay and fight the enemies since they need to know the joy of being thrown. So we manage to hide behind some pillars and let them shoot at Delamain. So after that, we see Smasher, and it's off to the worst part of the mission, the drone chase. And I died so many times on this. You have to get critical hits, and because I'm not spec'd into pistols, well, it was just pure hell. So yes, however, once we're through, we had the saddest moment in Cyberpunk.
She always knew.
Once we park up, I try and escape to no avail since, well, Cyberpunk be Cyberpunk, and we get betrayed by Dexter and we have our first Johnny Silverhand scene. Much like the driving segments, I'm going to play these as intended, so it's an absolute breeze since Johnny is pretty powerful and has a nice pistol to boot. So we go through the Arasaka tower and torch anyone in our way, and Adam Smashes says hello. When all is said and done, we get another driving segment. This one is a lot nicer, and once again we are allowed to use pistols in these segments, so it's pretty cool. And Takama is one of my personal favourite characters. I just wish he'd drop the Arasaka stuff and become a solo just like us. When the car scene is over and all is said and done, we visit Rogue in Night City, and she decides she wants her cash up front, so we give it to her. And she sends us to PanAm, but before we go out there, we have to farm more materials for our implant. So it's back to police assaults and crime fighting in Night City. However, I find a guy called Dino, and I just start doing some of his quests since they're a lot of fun and they pay pretty well with some good experience, including hitting a nightclub and forcing someone to leave.
Was that a yes or a no?
Just piss off and tell him the job's done.
Then we get to eliminate someone in a hotel. It's not actually too difficult as we take out an engineer and then go to the suite and start taking out all the guards. But I discover that using our King Kong throw is a really good way of hiding evidence. Observe. Now, I don't know about you, but that is pretty difficult to find. Now, once we throw our target in a dumpster, it's then Dino's last job. He has only 5 jobs, but this time we give the neck snapping montage with the King Kong throw to hide the bodies. After we finish our quest with Dino, he gives us a really nice car, so we nicknamed the car the Vendetta Mobile. So after taking out a couple more assaults in progress, we quickly manage to get more items for us to break down. After we get to PanAm, she's very angry and just expects us to go along with everything. We reluctantly agree and quietly take out the main threats in the dead village. And we jump on a building, do our favourite Donkey Kong barrel roll special. Once that's done and the area is clear, PanAm wants to go after Nash. We suggest upholding her end of the deal. She just bites back, and since it means so much to her, we go ahead. Apart from she just charges headlong into a bunch of people in a cave. PanAm, I have questions. It's called tactics. Once we clean up PanAm's mess, we get a few cyber shards, so at least it was worthwhile. But we then meet PanAm at the motel, and I decide to leave her be and go on a side quest. We meet our contact from the Maelstrom job after we defeated Royce, and we go to the motel, and well, for the younger audiences, I'll just let the room speak for itself. So, yeah. Once all of our business concludes at the motel, we then have another driving section. This time we have a turret that makes anything that comes near us roadkill. Fantastic. However, once everything is done, PanAm decides to use a drone. Whilst the Aldecados are under fire and thinks we should do some reconnaissance as a time when we could have saved people. PanAm, I'll just sail again. Tactics. So we go on in and destroy the robots. We can Donkey Kong them, so hit and run it is. We disable the turrets, and when we get everything sorted, we manage to find Mitch, and we try to get an extra lead, but PanAm is just PanAm and just ruins everything. Again. So I decide not to use Scorpion's bike and use my own car, since PanAm is just annoying at this point, and she insists on helping, but I just go into stealth mode and do their neck snapping. It's very good. Oddly enough, there's a civilian who points us to Hellman, so quietly we enter through the roof, sneak around thanks to our charge jump, and we easily get in the garage and go up to the first floor, letting us come face to face with Hellman. After knocking him out, we see a lot of nomads come, and Saul is a pretty nice guy, and this is hopefully the last we'll see of PanAm, since she's made quite the impression, for better or for worse. With all of that out the way, we level up, so we get the perk Lucky, so we can get more crafting items, although our cash kind of speaks for itself, since we don't really need to buy weapons or ammo. It's back to getting to doing more busy work, and we hit level 21, meaning the rare cyberware is available for us. This is probably the hugest jump in power for us, since we upgrade some of our health items to tier 4, as well as getting some fluff stats across the board. Every little helps after all. So with that sorted, it's time to test out on the streets of Night City. After a bit of grinding, we're getting very close to getting some very high level health items, which is the backbone of our build, but we meet Takamura, who has an intense associate. I suppose Garden Royalty would do that, and we go to Japantown for the parade until, so we're all set in the meantime. I decided to go get some assault stone and farm some tier 3 weaponry and continue being a vigilante in Night City. It's a lot of fun and my favourite part of the game, since we're doing extremely well, and I decided to go ahead and try and take out a couple of Cyberpsychos, since they're like mini bosses and can make you a tin can if you're not prepared. So I go and say hello to one, and behold, a Cyberpsycho. After waiting a little while, Takamura still hasn't called, so I decided to go to the Pacifica Beach area. We purchased a speedy bike and just zip around and just repeatedly crush people on the beach. Their respawn timer is just amazing, so you can farm a hell of a lot of crafting materials. And tier 5 materials don't come cheap, ladies and gentlemen, so this is just pure paradise. Also learn how to use the Quake, as charge jump is handy and pressing Q in the air does an AoE attack. It is bunches of fun, and I didn't know if this could do that, but we make the enemy wish they never met us. Call me a noob, but it was a really fun discovery and just makes us a monster in melee. After 3 hours of real-time grinding, we get all of our health items upgraded to tier 5, since I wasn't sure how long it would take Takamura to call. So this pretty much means we are one tanky son of a gun and an absolute juggernaut to take down. Now Takamura then finally calls us, and we've been grinding the whole time, so we are a powerhouse. So we go meet Takamura in Japantown. Takamura decides to do some reconnaissance, so more waiting. I decide to head over to Judy and see what she's got in mind, and she wants us to find Evelyn, the lady who hired us in the first place. Judy says to go to Clouds, and when we arrive we get excellent customer service and go for a match. It's feeling like the future of Tinder in here, so naturally when I try and do stealth it goes horribly wrong, but we are a guerrilla in melee, so weapons are not needed for us to wreck these guys. But an interesting turn of events, we don't need to pay Sky for info, she just says to find Woodsman as she's so scared. So we go upstairs and more fighting ensues. It's hilarious, and Woodsman, well, he doesn't really want to talk to us, so we just obliterate him and do the unthinkable and search his computer. Once everything is done, we leave Clouds, and Johnny says we should apply for the corps in a diplomatic squad. Thanks, Johnny, for the backhanded compliment. We go to probably one of the worst characters by climbing through a window and ripping a door open to see a patient who's getting faulty equipment installed. So with the scene set, fingers crossed the line as he treats Judy like an animal, so we pin him to the ground, which gets him talking really fast. As far as I'm concerned, the less we have to deal with fingers, the better, so we move on. After we gather evidence, we make our way to a power plant and do what we do best, just being a juggernaut in combat and slapping our foes around in the face. Where HP regen and crowd control, I can only imagine what this is like with gorilla arms or an arm mod, but without them we are doing absolutely fine. After we rough up a lot of enemies, I find a nice katana and see how cool it looks. Gotta admit, it's pretty nice. However, we decide to get Evelyn back to Judy's and see that we need to contact the Voodoo Boys. So cue Mr. Hands, who we need to wait for, along with Takamura, so it's back to doing some jobs. I decide to go ahead and do all the Cyberpsychos in the area since they are really fun to go against and each are unique. However, we have reached level 30, so we get the best Berserk mod ever. The absolute mad lad, the Militech Berserk, makes you 100% immune to damage. That's right, we are immortal whilst this is active. With some powerful damage buffs and movement buffs, we're at the peak of our build now. We just need some perk points to mid-max our life, so it's really good. I decide to wait a few hours and no one is called, so I get a guide out and start going after perk shards. And still waiting on Takamura, I decide to go exploring, and well, I managed to find a window next to a fence, and the area was hostile, but with no enemies around. Then I saw a stairwell next to the boat and I thought, what the hell, let's go for a boat ride, and then I saw a locked door. After some googling, it turns out this is Adam Smash's safe house, and I wandered around waiting for Takamura since he's taking so long, and I'm kinda twiddling my thumbs at this point, so I decided to go see PanAm for her questline. Saul's been captured, so it's up to us to take them down, and upon arriving at the cement plant, it's time we put our cybernetics to work, and well, the results speak for itself. Ah, excellent. Right, that's the guy.
I lay you out flat! What a clusterfuck!
Yeah, I'm just gonna become immune to damage because I can. After everything is settled, we sit on a sofa like a Friday night Netflix marathon. PanAm leaves on a motorbike after giving us a kiss, so can't complain. I just keep doing side missions since I've waited for Mr. Hand and Takamura, so just some side quests. And Delamain even gives us a tour of the workshop, but it's just a still and waiting game at this point. After doing so many jobs, Takamura finally calls and we immediately meet him since we're now walking, talking juggernaut. So we get to the site and begin, and cue the neck snapping montage for this operation. After we reach our objective, we just charge jump out the roof. A job well done. Now I have to wait for everyone yet again, so I go deal with the Delamain side jobs. After we do some of Delamain's chasing jobs, we get both Mr. Hands and Takamura both call us to advance the storylines, which is nice, but now I'm too invested in this side job and only 2 more cars to go and we're squared. 1 car is down and our last call is reached as PanAm decides to let us in on her side quest, so everyone is present for the next part. Excellent. Once the last Delamain car has been found, we decide to go see him for a big paycheck. Thank you very much, Delamain, I quite like this set of missions. And now on to the one and only Takamura with the parade. Our job here is to eliminate 3 snipers. First sniper, not a problem, easy as pie. Second sniper, we managed to click them and they fall to the ground, as if an accident happened. Lovely. The third sniper turns into a bloody melee, but we use our special move, the Donkey Kong barrel strike, with a critical hit. Now that everything is done, my video game sense is tingling and we disconnect the Netrunner and Yorinobu shows up. This boss is meant to be extremely difficult. High damage, hit and run healing, the works for a boss. But we have our own tricks, like a boss. Berserk be berserk, and behold, ladies and gentlemen, the power of an angry British man fueled by tea. After we defeat Yorinobu, we meet up with Takamawa, and he has Hanako, a member of the Arasaka family, but he didn't plan on an elite assault squad coming in and storming the buildings, so we'd go ahead and we just use our Militech that they didn't expect and just absolutely destroy them. Quake comes in amazingly handy here as it's able to just do an AoE and knock everybody down. Takamura also helps, so this part is really simple. But when we get outside, we then drive around and then Mr. Hands calls us. We get sent to the Grand Mall with lots of animal gang members, and these guys are essentially brutes, and Placide wants us to go in quietly, but I mean, see for yourself. The Militech Berserk is our boss ability, allowing us to just shrug off blows, and when we meet Matilda, here's Yorinobu 2.0, but she makes us use all of our blood pumps, and I decide to not use a finisher, as it's not fair on her, so we stand there and we just punch each other. When that's over with, we are a reliable merc, so we decide to ask no questions and go for the Asian and jack in, and well, we make it out, but Placide stabbed us in the back, but we get Brigitte take us to the Voodoo Boys Cemetery, aka their data fortress for netrunners, and cue the next Johnny Silverhand section of the game. I like these sections. The pistol is awesome, especially since it changes up fighting in melee. But once all is said and done, we meet Johnny, he has a quick chit chat with us, and we go beyond what most netrunners are capable of, through the black wall. We see Alt and Johnny, and Alt have a reunion of some sort, and when we're done, we get to lead the Voodoo Boys without fighting. So, cool, I guess? But then we get Johnny giving us a pep talk, so it's over to the afterlife to see Rogue. Johnny takes over our body, and well, certain things I can't put on YouTube, but it involves adult entertainment and a lot of alcohol. Every other scene is alcohol, and we wake up to see Rogue. She gives us a stare down, and we decide to rent a cramped apartment for 10k and wait on our call. It's alright, although V's apartment is more spacious, this place is easy access and everything you need right there. It's at that point, and I asked you guys what ending you would like, and well, you guys want to see the toughest and most grueling ending, and the audience have spoken. I decided to grind at the Pacifica area for items so we could upgrade all of our cyberware. After 5 hours of grinding, I then went to a Ripper dock and upgraded all of our items to tier 5. I even upgraded our healing items to tier 5++. So with that taken care of, it was then just grinding levels. So I went all over the Night City and did all the assaults and Cyberpsycho quests that I could find, and also roughed up some guys on the street because why not? Then after all of that, I managed to grind to level 47, and then we started Rogue's questline at the Afterlife. We go with Rogue and go to the boat we went to earlier, and we find a guy with Johnny Silverhand's pistol, which is now ours. However, when we knock him out, Rogue leaves in a huff, so we decide to just drive to the oil fields, and this is the most important part of getting the Don't Fear the Reaper ending. We have to reply in a certain way. So I select all the correct options and have a heart-to-heart with Johnny, and then when all that's cleared up, we go see Johnny's old bandmate because we need to do Johnny's quest line. And with Kerry, he's doing pretty well, all things considered. Very rich, very famous, but he's not happy because Johnny Silverhand's not around. However, we go to Maelstrom to see about getting the band back together, so Nancy's getting her head kicked in, so we go into Rage Boss mode and take these clowns out no problem, since they really can't decide who their leader is, and we just go around the club doing our thing, and we learn that we can run faster and hold our ram attack. I didn't know this, Call me a noob, a novice, but it's good to know, better late than never. When all this is cleaned up, we have to decide who plays with us, and ultimately, it doesn't matter, but also best not to annoy the addict that has filled a pool full of concrete. So let's have him slot in. We get the band together, have a really good gig, and now that everything's done, Kerry gives us a really cool gun as we give him Johnny's guitar, and Samurai are back in business. Now with all of Johnny Silverhand's quests done and his relationship with us is above 70%, we can go to the Embers, and when we get there, things aren't great with Hanako. We pretty much dismiss her offer since she's no better than her brother, saying she knew all this time and could have saved us, so we go and say hello to Victor. Honestly, I would actually love a spin-off with Victor. He's such a good character in this game and very underrated, but now it's time for us to unlock the secret ending, so here it goes.
If I gotta die, rather fall into my grave, gun in hand and on fire, and not drag anyone down with me.
Huh. You just discovered what it takes to become a legend. Grab your eye. Let's mobilize.
Now, I knew that Don't Fear the Reaper was going to be brutal, but I didn't think it would be this brutal on very hard difficulty. So arriving at Arasaka Tower, the first room is just insane. The samurais deal so much damage and can two-shot us and have to be dealt with. If not, we get cut down, but they are also backed by 3 bouncers who can chain stun us and do insane damage to us. We have to constantly keep moving, let our berserk do the heavy lifting in order to take them down. Quake is a nice addition, but ultimately it doesn't really do that much damage. However, when we can throw the samurais, it's a GG in the first area. So it's all well and good. Next up is 2 mechs. Now, the mechs I did read online were very, very difficult. However, this was not the case. I just used Berserk, charge on in, and destroy them one by one. However, the thing that is very annoying is the longer we take, the more our health ticks down. So it's a real balance for survival. However, the elevator is tight quarters, so we can fight against the enemies very easily as they don't have as much health and can be taken down really quickly. So as you can see, they don't really stand a chance against us. When the enemy are dealt with and we deal with the robots accordingly, we then have some elite melee units show up, and well, they made me retry this mission so many times, that is until I faced them up in the rafters, and a good Quake shores the deal and makes 2 of the melee units pass, that we can use our berserk at the right moment to survive. There's high damage attacks here and we eliminate both of them. This took so many tries, and 3 hours later we're finally in the next room is a lot of tanky guys who are very big, but the solution I go for is just to hide behind the wall and let Berserk do its thing. I'm pretty confident this barehanded run would be impossible without Berserk, so this thing is a lifesaver. Then the version 2.1 Adam Smasher. I fought him once before in the previous run, but this is the 2.1 Adam Smasher. This is the upgraded version, so this will be interesting. And well, here's how it went.
There's no option. Where is Ryan? Once I finish with you, I'll hunt her down.
Johnny Silverhand sends his regards.
Are you fucking with me now? He's got a point, V. Shut up and finish him. Be done with it.
Took down Johnny's arch enemy. Gotten good, I guess. Damn, it feels nice.
After defeating Adam Smasher and uploading ult, we come to the end of the run, and we get the ending where we see Mr. Blue Eyes answering the question, can you beat Cyberpunk 2.1 with just your fist? And yes, you can. Thanks for the Don't Fear the Reaper ending, guys. It was grueling, but I gotta admit, the ending was hella worth it, so thank you. Well, as far as challenges go, I will say that followed the classic difficulty curve of a typical challenge. Tough in the beginning, and it got easier and easier as it played out in the mid game. That is until you hit a big roadblock in the late game, which in this case was Don't Fear the Reaper. That just absolutely dialed it up past 11, since the enemies were just insanely tough. And funnily enough, when getting to Adam Smasher, the final hurdle, it wasn't too bad at all. The enemies leading up to that were a lot worse. But since Cyberpunk 2077 was a lot of fun, I do have another challenge in the future, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But for our next challenge, I'm going to do XCOM Chimera Squad. I didn't know about the game until someone said about it, so I'm going to be doing a Android only run led by Julian Shen. We'll have a couple of mods to allow Androids right from the get-go, but it should be a lot of fun. Also, we're nearing 30,000 subs, so really excited about that. Let me know what you guys want for the 30k special, and I'll start cooking up some ideas. Anyway, it's come to that time of the video, so like the video, comment down below, all that good stuff. And you guys take care. I hope you're all doing really well. You have a fantastic day, an excellent night. I love you guys. You are fantastic. Please stay safe, all that good stuff. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. This is Insane Frame signing off. Laylas everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Laylas everyone.